Glasgow. Okay.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the AF Tech Talk. I'm Michael Lee, and I'm here with my counterpart, Marissa Jones of AF Tech Advisors and the AF Tech Fund. How are you, Marissa?
I'm doing well, thank you. Fun to see
Good.
you on a Friday.
Yeah, glad to see you on a Friday. Looking forward to this conversation. We have a really cool guest on today. It's not every day that we have somebody who's comes from the accounting finance industry, but now is tackling a very challenging, difficult challenge of building a new ledger that accountants and
Mm-hmm.
CFOs can use. Why don't you introduce our guest, Marissa?
All right. Yeah, John from Campfire. It's a modern accounting software for tech companies. Like you just said, he built out a full GL, all-encompassing software, super beautiful UI, in my opinion. I'm really excited to have him on. I believe he's part of the YC cohort of Ramp too. So I think pretty close ties to Ramp, if memory serves me. Um, and yeah, when he comes on, he's going to give us a little bit of a demo and he's going to talk about why he started Campfire.
Awesome, John. Hey, welcome to the show. Appreciate you taking the time to chat with us and share with our audience and colleagues about the exciting things you're doing at Campfire. Why don't you just tell the audience a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Thank you, Marissa, for having me on today. Myself spent 12 years of my career in finance, financial services, did a tour in investment banking, went the CFA route early in my career, but then went over to Adobe after we sold a company to Adobe, Magento Commerce, joined Adobe, did a lot of strategy and finance there. So all sorts of FP&A work, spent a lot of time on financial modeling, and then went over to Invoice to Go to lead partnerships in BD, invoicing software for small businesses. We had about 250,000 small businesses globally using us to power the invoicing for their company. And Bill.com, most known for accounts payable, really wanted to further invest in accounts receivable. And so they acquired us for about 650 million in 2021. Given my investment banking background, I led the deal myself. We had no banker, and really learned a lot about accounting data because I come from finance, and through the acquisition diligence, learned so much about accounting. We were on QuickBooks. Is a Series C business, 100 employees, and diligence was a nightmare. And my CFO said, "Hey, the path to NetSuite is not some promised land. Really expensive, hard to go live. Reporting is still very challenging. The learning curve is steep." So we had a separate QuickBooks login for each subsidiary globally. And once we got acquired, by the end of my time at Bill.com, I was leading partnerships there, reporting to the CFO, and saw that so my number one partners were the accounting ledgers, the four primary ones: NetSuite, Intact, Xero, and QuickBooks. And so many of our customers were not happy. It was the same pain I experienced as an operator, that went through Y Combinator, as Marissa noted, to build a modern ledger that I wish we were on at Invoice to Go, and my customers had at Bill.com. And so since then, we've had a lot of interest and a lot of folks onboarding, and they come from QuickBooks and NetSuite and Intact and Xero. We're referenceable from all four ledgers, and they really come to us when they outgrow the SMB solutions like QuickBooks and Xero, and or they're just frustrated with NetSuite and Intact and they want to be on something more modern. So that's what we do today, and excited to be a guest on your show.
Yeah, one of the interesting things about Campfire too is you see companies from all sides of the spectrum, all sizes, coming to be appealed to Campfire. Mhm.
Yeah, from just 5 to 10 employees, and it's their first ledger, to hundreds of employees coming from NetSuite with global operations.
Yeah.
So there was just such a large gap between QuickBooks and NetSuite that we've seen the majority of the customer base come from there, but then they don't think of NetSuite as their next solution. They think of just scaling as a full replacement of NetSuite. So we're thrilled in our engineering velocity our team's busy keeping ahead of our customers that are all growing quite fast.
That's
Yeah, you're able
amazing.
to kind of switch that mentality of like, okay, we got to this next step. We're going to need NetSuite now. Well, no, not necessarily. You can stick on Campfire
Yeah,
for quite some time. Yeah.
yeah, we ship daily, so customers
Yeah.
love it.
That's awesome. Yeah, we Marissa and I know from running our firms and working with a lot of clients, the frustration that of the limitations of the current ledgers for small business, and then yeah, there is this both price, capacity, resource jump to NetSuite Sage Intact that if you don't do it right, which probably 80% of the time it's done completely wrong, and it takes so much more capacity, so much more resourcing, so much more consulting and implementation. You're talking about 10, 20x, 30x the pricing to keep a NetSuite or Intact going. And for a small business or startup, that is such a huge jump in costs. So it's really really cool that you all took that reality and really try to solve that. What is it about the Campfire architecture or the way you built Campfire that allows somebody to start really small and actually scale with it and not have this significant price increase that normally occurs between like a QBO and a NetSuite jump?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think in its simplest form, we've taken the self-serve like UI, is easy to learn without the steep learning curve. Something of like think of like a QuickBooks from a interface perspective, but the power of NetSuite, the multi-entity, the multi-currency, even things like amortization schedules, revenue accounting schedules, all of that, all the ARR reporting, all the Salesforce integration that'll auto generate the contract schedule when you close a deal in Salesforce, having everything you go to NetSuite for in a just very easy QuickBook-esque, for lack of a better term, interface where you can set it up on your own or actually make a chart of account change on your own. You don't need a system integrator to help you make changes. But I think more fundamentally is what I would describe the four legacy ledgers of being great at getting you off of on-prem software, like getting you out of QuickBooks Desktop into the cloud, but they're really built for manually performing accounting tasks. And we're really focused on working on automating more of the prep. So accountants, and I saw a lot at Zippo.com, so accounting firms and accountants and finance teams focus more on the analysis, focus more on the recommendations, and less on the transactional accounting, less time on bank rec, more time on making a recommendation on how to further optimize the business.
That's really really great. And I think you talked a little bit about um, who your main competitors or where customers are potentially coming from. Is there an ICP you're going after? Are you mainly focusing on startups? Are you mainly focusing on small businesses that are established? Are you going after the mid market? Is there an ICP that you're really really trying to go after right now as Campfire in this early days?
Yeah, we certainly have found a home in going after, call it 25 employee to 300 employee tech companies with a headquarters in North America. And they can have, again, they can have subsidiaries globally, but headquarters in North America. But we have had overwhelming interest in customers onboarding, a family office that runs a honeybee operation, folks that are, we had a chef recently on board for their book and for all their operations. And if you've got multiple entities and you're logging into different QuickBooks accounts, or you're hanging on a QuickBooks desktop because it's the only way that can support the complexity of your business, you don't need to anymore. There is a modern ledger that can handle that level of complexity that doesn't start with $100,000 year one cost called NetSuite. There's something that can meet you where you are. And accounting firms love us because when they position us to their clients, there's not this massive year one investment.
Mm.
Like you go to your client and say, hey, you should go to NetSuite. It's going to be 80K for implementation and year one license. You're not going to win any awards with your client. And so this is an opportunity to really bring them something modern. You show that you're a modern firm, but also get them great reporting. They can now go in and look at reporting on their own now. It's that level of intuitiveness in the platform.
That's awesome.
Happy to take you through the product, but I think one interesting point, coming from like when I was an FP&A at Adobe, I was doing all of the historical analysis. Like I was doing LTV to CAC, I was running all the analyses on historical data. Even though I was on finance, I wasn't on accounting. I truly believe accounting teams should be doing the analysis. Like I talk to a lot of accountants and they say, "Oh, I'm an accountant. I don't prepare charts, or I don't speak and I don't present ideas to the CFO." I think that's crazy. I think as an accountant, if it's historical data, you should be doing the analysis. You should be doing the recommendations. That is your remit, and it's a great way to up-level your role. It's a great way to be more visible, whether you're an accounting firm with your client. Hey, I noticed there's an opportunity to consolidate vendor spending to increase profits, or I ran LTV to CAC by ad channel, and I noticed that you were closing a lot of customers out of one channel, but they were all churning within the first year. You should actually be focusing on another channel that has a lower conversion rate, but a much higher, and this is all historical data. And so, up-leveling the role and rethinking the role to what I call strategic accounting. We all think of strategic finance, but strategic accounting, I think, is really the future of the profession. And that's where I'd love for more accountants to be thinking and pushing themselves and relearning, as opposed to thinking more about, I do bank rec and I do transactional accounting.
And what sales channels do you connect to right now pretty well, integrate with?
Yeah, all the common ones for tech, whether it's like Stripe, Salesforce, HubSpot. We have hundreds of API endpoints. So folks have connected us to homegrown invoicing engines, Shopify, billing, any sort of payment processor billing engine we can support. Again, we really handle wherever you are on the rest of your tech stack, you can keep it all, and you can implement Campfire.
So in other accounting tools, sometimes you can select which information you want to pull over because it's relevant to accounting. But if there's a pretty seamless integration to pulling that data in to, say, Campfire, is it possible to pull it all in and the integration work really nicely and really smoothly, and then you don't have to worry about selecting data and unselecting data and choosing which ones you want to pull over or not?
Yeah. Should I show you?
Yes,
Is this a
good
segue?
Yeah, segment.
I'm not going to describe it, but I'm just going to butcher it. So enough.
Yeah, that's why before I was like blank on questions. I'm like, the software speaks for itself. Showcase.
Yeah, let's hop in here. Okay, hopefully you can all see this.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, we got some key stats, and because we're a multi-entity ledger, all the pages are entity aware, so we can go ahead and rerun any page. But to your comment there specifically, let's just start with revenue automation. And this piece of the product is more oriented for tech companies, but again, we've seen non-tech companies use it. The rest of the platform, the core ledger, is where we see folks coming from any industry. But we, of course, automate, QuickBooks and Xero have no concept of ARR. So things like contracted ARR here, CAR, we see a metric that's frequently tracked these days in tech, which, if you're not familiar, is deals that have signed but have not started yet. And in addition to ARR or live ARR, if you wanted to break it out. But all of the metrics are aggregated, whether it's your ARR waterfall, whether it's deferred revenue by customer, and you think about like year-end audit testing or just for internal purposes, and then revenue by product and customer segment. We see customers were previously only running this at like the bare minimum, like quarterly for a board meeting, or if they have like a quarterly executive review. But now that the data is automatically prepared, once they get us the right inputs, they're actually running analysis much more frequently as a team and at an executive level. And that means much tighter feedback loop for better decision-making along the way. You can course correct in a much tighter fashion. And to your question specifically, where we get data, we either can take in a customer contract And again, out of a CRM like Salesforce, deal will close, will generate the revenue accounting schedule, and this will do the revenue reporting as well. Or to your question about like seamlessly pulling it in from a third-party source, we have a revenue transaction database, and this is whether you're a Shopify or you can see here our native Stripe integration. We can upload from any data source, and we of course handle the concept of gross and net and platform fees for Shopify and processing fees for payment processing and whether it's recurring or not. And then we automatically do the revenue accounting, whether it's what's more traditionally like product-led growth, this transaction table, or sales-led, which is more traditionally this contract table. And then we unify all of it for the reporting we were just looking at. So I think this is a big win because again, QuickBooks or Xero, have none of this functionality. And so if you're a company that's doing this in spreadsheets like the revenue accounting entry or your ARR reporting, we can really automate it, and that frees your team up to go focus on that more strategic accounting task that I was describing earlier.
And do you have any demos? I feel like I just saw somebody publish that you were doing a month-end close webinar or something. Did you post that, or do you have anything on your resources and tools on your
Yeah.
website that maybe has like a fast close best practice?
Yes. And so our mission here is to get all transactional accounting out of spreadsheets. And the last task we had not gotten out of spreadsheets was actually the close checklist itself. And so we now have close management. And you can go in here and run your close checklist and build it, a custom checklist. And you can see if you want to do who completed the work and reviewed the work. If you want to do your eliminations across entities, run revaluations or revenue accounting, or just add a custom item like I need to make sure I need to go check on the payroll runs in our payroll system, then you can build that all here. And so I can send around a full demo as a follow-up for folks watching and following along today. The only other thing I want to show is all of our financial, well, there's two things. One is on the financial reporting. So again, whether you're a tech company or not, so many businesses have said we are multi-entity running separate QuickBooks accounts, or we're running, Xero in Canada and QuickBooks in the US. The ability to have multi-entity reporting in a single accounting login and account is a huge win. And of course, it's all drillable and you can click in. But further analysis like vendor spend, P&Ls, you can see here, department level P&Ls, you can see here, custom dimensions. Our version of tag is akin to the classes function in QuickBooks. One that many folks were asking for is, can we recut the P&L by department for them? And so we actually have this as well, which is most folks are building their chart of accounts off of the departments because they want to see this view. We've actually decoupled this from the chart of accounts concept that you don't need 5 sub wages, one for engineering and finance and HR. You can actually just have one wages in the chart of accounts, and then you can tag the respective department wage data to the department. So folks have seen a lot of value there. And then last thing I'll mention is just some of the schedules, whether it's, I want to quickly build a prepaid schedule. We can go in here and easily do that. We've got great integrations, whether it's Ramp or Brex or other AP and spend management providers. So it all syncs in just like you would expect on any ledger. Same with all the bank accounts, and going back to my comment earlier, lots of self-serve configurability on the platform. So that is the quick overview for you. Would love to pause for any questions along the way here.
I have one question, broken up in a few different pieces. So you have revenue recognition capabilities for both income and expenses. And then I know you have a migration team, I believe, who will help you get the information out of your current system into Campfire, correct? And I know that some people are now using QuickBooks Advanced new features for revenue recognition, and you're able to pull in all of those existing entries and put them into your system. Is that correct?
That's exactly it. One of the main reasons at Invoice to Go we were still on QuickBooks was the implementation we knew was such a large, not only financial investment, but resource investment for the team. So we've really tried to, I can't say we can do everything, obviously, but we really tried to turn things and flip it that we have an in-house former Big Four auditor CPA that was actually led a lot of the implementations at Rippling for 5 years and was an accountant at Rippling before that, that leads our implementations and customer success. And a new customer upon signing gives us a login to their old ledger, whether it's NetSuite or QuickBooks or anything else. And then we go and do a row level migration. We make sure all the AR/AP subledgers are matching. To your point there, all the contracts come through, whether it's AP, on the cash in or cash out side. And then the first time we onboard a new customer to actually using the product, all of their data is there going back a few years at a drillable level, because so many ERP migrations are just at a summary level that I think that's really doing a disservice, because you lose a lot of the auditability and drillability. That we've taken a different approach. So we only do row level, journal level migrations, and then it's as if you've been Campfire all along.
Yeah, so the same is true for the upper end NetSuite customers. You will pull in all of those
Yes.
that row data too. Wow.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. NetSuite intact. We've done that all, and they just give us a login, and we do a row level migration for them and match it to a penny.
Mm-hmm.
This is really powerful, John. What are you excited about for the future of Campfire as you continue to roll out more features and talk to more customers for sign up? What's exciting you right now about the growth of Campfire?
I think the main thing is, first off, just seeing accountants get excited about core accounting. It's gonna. I mean, the last
You never thought they'd be this excited, huh?
we've still got work to do and more to build, but there's been so much innovation. You look at Ramp and
Yeah.
Rippling, and every category has like this consumer grade, beautiful UI.
Yeah.
And then they go back to their NetSuite instance, and it's like, oof.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. The
it's,
early 2000s wants their UI back, right? It's just
yeah, yeah. And so they're just like, we're trying to make core accounting fun,
right.
and we're bringing what other categories have seen. They've really breathed new life into some adjacent category. A lot of our partners have really paved the way for us to now accountants expect great software, right? They
Yeah.
expect consumer grade interfaces. They expect no huge implementation, because that's what they're buying in every other category. And so we can come in and kind of literally deliver ourselves on those same commitments. So really excited about that. People get excited. A CFO at a dinner we hosted, he came up to me and he shook my hand, and he's just like, thank you. I've rolled out NetSuite at 4 companies now, and I'm just so excited. There's actually like a new NetSuite, and he had been waiting for one for, he said, about 10 years. So that gets me super excited. Someone that just onboarded last week, they had rolled out NetSuite at their last 4 tech companies, and they just went with Campfire. They're Campfire
Wow.
CFO now. So things are really turning over. The other thing I'm really excited about is the comment I made earlier of like accountants shifting the role. I really see the role shifting into performing more strategic work, more interesting work. There's less cyclicality around the close. You can hopefully get your nights and weekends back around the month, quarter, year-end closes. And there's just more predictability, but then also getting everything out of spreadsheets is how we can unlock AI. And so we didn't get there today, but we have some AI. We have a GPT in the product.
Oh, that's great.
And for where we're going, we've got some huge AI announcements before year end. So excited to share those when we're ready.
I think that's really, really
Yeah, I'll
cool.
have you back on. Love to hear
Yeah.
about him.
I
Yeah.
I especially agree with you on the direction. I think there's whether it's you guys or somebody in the category, if you think about how archaic a lot of the software has been in the ledger space, it has kept most of the industry at transaction level and historical transaction level and thinking that way and getting people just super comfortable existing there. I think as tools like Campfire become more and more ubiquitous and more modern for us to use, there's going to be a whole education that's going to happen for many, many, many accountants who grew up a lot of their career already doing just transactional accounting work and not thinking strategically and never having to because there was so much work needed in manual transaction work. But to shift over in strategic accounting takes a whole different mindset and almost a worldview of how you approach a client, how you approach your role, how you position yourself in your role. And so it's opportunity, I think, for Campfire or somebody like Campfire to really own the education around that and almost like an update to what QuickBooks has the Pro Advisor program. It's almost like its own Campfire strategic accounting certification or program. So I'm really excited
Well,
with
there's
what.
been a big, for the last couple of years, there's been a big shift in what accountants are supposed to be doing. What is our role? How do we
Yeah.
bring more into what we've already been doing? And how do we provide more insights? And so we pull those insights by scraping data from different
Yeah.
places and duct taping it together. And it's a lot of work and it's a lot of, time. And we're still looking at historical data. So people don't find the value in that. So we've really been missing the tool that will help get us to get those insights faster so that we can actually do that. So yes, accountants should have a new role and we should be doing more, but thank you for building a tool that I think actually helps to give that easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Marissa, I know you're a huge fan of RAMP. We would love to someday be the RAMP for accounting. Uh, but
Michael always made fun of me for that.
Well, we're definitely
It just
banking
makes
on
it
that,
so much
John.
easier.
I
Yeah.
know, yeah.
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 I think at the end of the day, it means a lot more exposure to the broader industry, right? And so we've had those four dominant players you named and some others that the industry knows their names and the accountants know their name, and let alone that's not even counting the tax software side, which is
Yeah.
even more archaic on that side.
Oh,
Like,
I see some tax software. I was like, wow. Uh,
yeah, the '80s wants their UI back. It's like crazy how bad just how old the tech software is right now. So to see this in
Yeah.
the ledger side, I think there's going to be maybe there's a founder out there watching this going inspired to actually update tax software to get their UI
yeah.
updated to the
Yeah,
future.
the new IC cohort.
Someone needs to be the
You just go
campfire.
roll it out in the government.
Yeah, that Campfire for
The
tax, right?
campfires.
Yeah, when one day when they
Yeah.
you're using your brand name and they're saying the Campfire for tax, that's when you know you've made it, John. We're
You have
looking forward
arrived.
to it.
Yeah. And then the other one, I mean, I see everyone says I have not found like a good manufacturing software.
MRP,
Uh,
yep, yep.
yeah, so there's other categories that are right.
Oh
It's
yeah,
spend and others are leading the way, but we're kind of rolling through to your point, tax, like manufacturing, like there's a lot of opportunity in accounting. The funny thing was, going through Y Combinator, the partner was like, when I interviewed, they're like, finally, someone wants to build a modern NetSuite. Everyone's
wow.
building engineering tooling and developer tooling, and I think we're literally the only company of the like 4 or 5,000 Y Combinator companies that have ever built a NetSuite competitor. Um,
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's always been sort of a taboo subject. Like you don't do it. Like it's too expensive. That's just
Yeah,
crazy. People don't do it.
yeah,
It's just
yeah.
like don't talk about it. Doesn't even happen.
and
Yeah.
I mean, so when we're out fundraising, a lot of investors were like, "You're either crazy or you're the smartest person ever to take on
Yeah.
NetSuite." But they're like, "This is actually your third accounting software company, and you sold one for 600 million. You probably know what you're doing." So, but
Yeah,
it's not. This is not a feature company. This is truly a platform company, and it's a huge. A lot of VCs are like, "You're taking a huge swing here," um, and that's what gets us excited. Is just hearing the enthusiasm from the accountants, and that's what motivates us to keep going.
yeah. That's awesome. Well, thank you, John, for joining us, showing us a demo, giving us a story of
Mhm.
History Campfire. We're really rooting for you, excited for your
Oh,
success, and looking forward to seeing more and more of our peers jumping on and learning about Campfire. What's the best way they can learn more about you, John, or about Campfire if they're wanting to sign up?
Yeah, check us out at meetcampfire.com, MEET campfire.com. Shoot me an email, john at meetcampfire.com. Add me on LinkedIn, drop me a note there, whatever's best. Would love to chat and would love to chat live.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thanks, John. You've been great. You've been a great guest. And Marissa, super excited about this and looking forward to seeing everybody next time on the next AF Talk.
All right. Thank you both.
Bye. Thanks, John.